on the TestNg. So this is the second session about the TestNg. So they will be learning different things, more things into it. So I just created one basic TestNg class. Okay, so here we have read all these things, right? Before suite, after suite, and the precondition annotations, post condition annotations, and test annotations. Now what I do is I just create a package called com.test, and then in this we can just talk about different TestNg features here. Okay, so let's learn about priority first. So okay, so now what we do is we learned that we can add tests, right? So after adding, we need to ensure that which test we want to run first and which one we want to run afterwards, right? So how do you do it? So in this case, as you can see that at the rate after the rate test annotations, I've put in this value. Ignore this thing right for the moment. Ignore the groups thing. Just put in this priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, priority 4, which means that first this test 2 will be executed, then test 1, then test 4, and then test 3, right? Let's see if it follows that. So yeah, we can see that test 2, test 1, test 2 was priority test 2 was priority 1. Okay, and then test 1 needed to be executed, which is priority 2, you can see here, and then we needed test 4, which is priority 3. Test 4 is priority 3, and test 3 is priority 4. So you can see that this happened. So why we are getting error is because of this test 3 will be showing an error. As you can see, there's a cross marked here. That's because there's this exception here. Okay, so that is there. So that's why this is how we give priority. So in this one, someone might ask you, it can be something asked in an interview, that how many tests are there, how do you come to know? So what you can do is just search this test thing. Okay, test. Okay, when select all, when you do, you can see 17 matches are there, right? I mean, in this case we marked it as test, but otherwise it would, if this name was not a test, then the test would be named something else. In that case we would be getting the right count. I mean, you can remove all these. I mean, you can have a rough count of what the number is. Okay, so the priority is a keyword, that's why it starts with small p, right? And okay, so yeah, you can show this report also to manager, right? Whatever the results you're getting. Okay, so this can be showed. Yeah, so here I'll show you, there's this report that gets generated. Okay, I'll just refresh this. So once you refresh, there's this folder called test output, right? And so then here you can find out something like index.html. So open with other, and then here you can put in Google Chrome, and once you see, you can see that there's this error that is coming. Okay, and there's one test that got executed. Just ignore this one. Times is, it will tell you how much time it took to execute one test. This is reporter output, ignored methods, no one is there, so it shows you that this one failed and these 3 passed. Okay, also listing each how many tests failed, and here you can find the number. So it is a very useful thing, to find out how you can find out the how many things failed. Okay, so you need to refresh this every time, you after a run, to make sure that you're running the latest thing. So here you can find another thing called groups. For example, there are about 5 tests from a type called test from a title called sorry, there are some tests from a group called title which are related to title. There are some tests related to login. So how do you group it? So this is how you will group it. Like if you want to execute only the when you execute the suite, you just make sure that which tests out of a certain group got executed. So here you can see in the report itself there are three groups, right? You can see test2 and test4, test2 and test2 and test4 are from login group. So here they have listed. Okay, so it makes it very viewable. Okay, so this is done, and it can be asked also, how will you define grouping in TestNg? So you can write that under the test annotation in the brackets we can add groups. Groups equal to whatever the group name is. Here it is title, so here we got in the groups we got title, and in that we'll find that. Okay, and there's one more thing called depends on that we can I'll tell you right now. Okay, so depends on keyword is there. There must be this one, depends on. Yeah, so for example, you don't want this test to, this is an open link, right? This is one test and then this is another test. So you want that first this test gets executed, and then on this is also dependent. So after this is executed, this will be executed after that. If this fails, then this and this will not be executed. All right, so that's the logic behind this, and I'll just show you once. Depends on method, you can use depends on method equal to whatever the name of the method is that you want it to be executed afterwards. Okay, once this step is done, after that this will be executed. Okay, this test case depends on setup. Once this is done, then only this will be valuable. For example, if this does not get executed, right, there would be no point of executing this one, right? So it would fail also, this would fail, because if this failed, it will show us false failures. So if this fails, these will get skipped. Okay, so this is the use of this one. Okay, let's try running this. First I will add there. So this is priority 1, priority 2, priority 3. Okay, let's see. It will open. In the second step, it would just open Amazon, click mobiles, and then close the browser. In this case, only once it will open. Okay, mobiles you can see, and it will close it. Okay, we saw that there are 3 passing results. Okay, if we refresh, we can find that in the report also. Refresh index.html, open with other, you can choose Chrome, and here you can find that chronological view, setup, open link, close browser, and times also you can see setup took 15 seconds, open link took 6 seconds, and close browser took 2 seconds. Okay, for example, there is test login test and then home page test. So, and home page, it depends on after login has happened, right? So in that case we will use depends on. Here it will not get executed uh, if this particular test fails, if login fails. All right, so this is the use. And for example, we know that home page will only be loaded after the user is logged in, right? So then you can use, you can mention in the methods here which depends on, right? So this one will only get executed when this is passed. Okay, Now we will try to fail this test. Once I fail this, let's see if these two will be executed. See, I'll just refresh. So you can see the skips are 2, right? Which test got skipped? Result. This one got skipped and this one got skipped. Failed, skipped 2 tests, pass 0, failed 1. Setup got failed and hence 2 tests got skipped. So this is the logic. Okay, behind this. You don't want to have false failures. So depends on feature is this only. They can ask you what is depends on feature. So depends on feature is something which it is used and which we are passing in the methods that it depends on, and the methods that we write these for will only be executed when the method prior to them on which they depend gets executed, otherwise they will get skipped. So now there's another thing called invocation count test. Okay, so let me show you invocation count. Okay, so in this, what will happen is it will execute this test these many times. So you can have like different sets of data if you have. So, and you want to show the report of this. So when you want to dump the data into the server, so that time you can execute this. So if I run it like this, let's see what happens. Okay, we can see that executed got executed 10 times and you have 10 results of this, right? So this is another use case that you can think of using. And then there is exception timeout. Okay, exception timeout test. This was test count, right? Invocation exception timeout. Yeah. So what happens is invocation timeout, which means that here I cannot execute this because this is like an infinite loop. Here we have created one test and then invocation timeout is equal to 1000 milliseconds. In 1 second it would execute. If I run this, what will I is equal to 1, right? Test is the name of the test. While I is equal to 1, system. So this will keep printing it until this time is passed. Okay, so this is another use case that you can think of automating. Although we don't use such kind of scripts because they can really hang your system and it's not advisable. Then there are some tests in which you expect some exceptions, right? So in this case, for example, you're trying to convert a string into an int using a wrapper class, but you know that 100 is not it cannot be converted into an integer, right? So number format exception would come in this case. If we run, number format exception will come, right? So what you do is you just create a class first of all, and if you run it like this, it will throw you an exception and it will fail the test, right? So what if you know that this kind of exception can come, right? It failed the test. You can see here, there's a cross failed is equal to 1. What if you want to, not fail this test and you know that this exception can come. If you want to pass it, now you can see that it will pass. Yeah, so it pass test runs equal to pass is equal to 1. Initially it was failing. Now because you handle the exception using this, right? You can handle using try catch block also, but this is another like easier way of doing it, right? So now in any test ng, this thing, we have to make assertions also, because these kind of tests will pass every time. For example, this one test, right? We're not doing anything here. We're not doing any assertions. Driver dot manage, right? Here there's no assertion. Here we are not doing, we're just making operations, right? What if we want to check the title here? How do you do it? So what you do is you just go here, okay, Google test, and yeah, so once you open this page, right, and you've given it a sleep, so what you do is you just create the Gmail button is there on Google. You can see on the top right. So what I've done is displayed I've written, and then in that I have written assert equals, this is the method assert equals, here you can see boolean actual, boolean expected. So here, you know, is displayed is, of course it should pass, because uh, you know, this Gmail what is always displayed. I'll show you. So this is my actual and this is my expected. It should be true, this value should be true, right? So let's see. If it fails, it would fail. If it doesn't show, we can see whether it shows or not. So here we can see that Gmail is showing, right? So then this should have passed. Let's see if it passes, right? So here you can see that it passed. We can say the status has passed, right? We can see the report also. Refresh, test output, index.html, open with other Google Chrome. Okay, so you can see here that there's one test here, default suite times they have told you 7877. Chronological view setup got executed first, and then title test was there, then tear down, right? So this is how it got executed. We learned about before method, after method. So this, after every method this would execute, and before any method this would execute. So that's why it got executed first, then this got executed, and then this got executed. For example, you want to test another this thing, right? So I mean, this would again open, right? I mean, you need to open this. Sorry, because this would not open this, so I have to open it. This test would execute now. First this would get executed, then what will happen is, first the setup will execute, test1 will execute, then after method will execute again, before method will execute, then test2, this one priority 2 will execute, so get its title, compare, and then it will quit it. So let's see if they pass or not. The first test got executed. There was a sleep of 5 seconds, so it would take some time. So now second test would get executed. Right, so both of them have passed, because the, let's see, let's refresh and check the result. Refresh, index.html, open with other, and Google Chrome. Yeah. So now here we see that there was one test class, two methods got executed, and both of them got passed. See, tear down, setup got executed, button test, tear down. Okay, you can see here the test title test took this 6 seconds, and button test took 1.7 seconds. So this is the beauty of it. Now right, this kind of exercise, and here also I have done this assert equals assertion. What do you do is, if this does not match, for example, let's assume that this does not match, right? Let's make it Gale and just remove this test for now. Let's see what happens. This just should fail, and then what happens is, this is actual, this is expected, and this, if this doesn't match, then this would fail with this message. Alright, so we'll see how the message comes. See, it failed. One passed, test run 1, and this failed. And why did it fail? Title does not match. Expected Gale, right? This was expected, so that's why this came. So in this way you can do it. There are different assertions here. Assert dot equals assert equals. I think I passed in the wrong spelling. Right, so there are different values that you can validate here. The sets, double, float, actual, a lot of things. So this can be done, and so we're done with validations here. Now another thing that you can see is assert equals we have already learned. is there anything else? Yeah, I think yeah. There's another thing that here you can see that we did true, right? So here what we could also have done is, oh, sorry, here what we could have also done is assert dot assert equals assert true, assert dot assert true. Okay, here you can put in whatever the convention, if it is true or not, right? You need to put in whatever the value you want to put in, right? So you need to validate the event button comes out to be true or not, right? This can be also done over here. Okay, one very important thing is how do you run the tests. For example, there are like about 100, if for example the 100 test classes, how do you execute it? So what you do is you just go to this src main java, right, wherever your test classes are. Outside that package, right, just open new file. Just a moment. The file, you can go next and you can type in whatever the things you want to create, right? Here you can pass in the file. So you can create testng.xml. You have to just copy all the values, just put in the suite you want to execute, testing the app, test name would be regression, right? And then here com.test, whatever the package name is, so this is under this, right? It's under this, so com.test dot whatever your test class name is, just copy this name, don't copy java, just copy these two, and you can just run it like this, run as TestNg suite. You can see that all the test classes will be picked and all of them will be executed, and at the end we will have a report which will show us how many tests passed, how many tests failed. So we don't need to execute each test class one by one. Here you can see that each test class is getting executed on its own. It says see when this script got executed. Now we'll have other scripts as well. Now we have the test on Firefox browser as well. So you can do cross-browser testing here. Now this will close. Right? So this is wonderful. I mean, the way this report, see in the test, you know how many tests we have. Here you can just refresh this and find out that you know how your test class test output is. Just open this, open with other, and just open it in yes. See, these two tests failed, right? Application 6 classes, 3 groups were there, times, each test time is given here. See, all the test methods are shown here. Then chronological view is expected, there is one test in this expected result class. Then this is how it got executed. It failed here in the button test, right here it got executed in the test 3 class. It shows specifically like which test failed, button test, and why it failed. Title does not match, and here language exception. So this is mostly what we do in TestNg, how we execute. Very useful. You can apply this in your project, and I hope this video was useful. Do like, share and subscribe. Thank you.